Hello everyone and welcome back to round 5 of the JCW Mini World Tour. We are here at Salzburgring for the 5th round. Very interesting circuit, very fun circuit. The drivers have been saying how much they've been enjoying practicing for a round here. As you can see, drivers just finishing off their last few laps before we get into quali. As mentioned, yes, this is round 5 at Salzburgring, into the second half of the season, and as usual this season, joining me is Mr. Aidan Hard. How are you doing, Aidan?
I am doing so well. I've never seen this track before. Of what I've heard and what I've seen, it's going to be slipstream, band corner, slipstream, and hope for best.
Don't forget the chicane that will cause chaos.
That is just to spice things up.
Yeah, could be anywhere on the circuit. It's turns 1 and 2. So yes, we're used to chaos in this series. There will be plenty of it as we get ready for this. As Ben in chat, as well as Matt Holman, mentioning the cows that are around the circuit. Yeah, the cows.
Useful brake markers.
Well, not so useful brake markers are here on the inside of turn 5, but we've got this little cow here. It's just staring out onto the apex here, judging all of our drivers. Yes, the cow cam that we're all here for. Forget the minis, forget Salzburgring, it's all about the cows. While we take a little look, let's just have this cow here so we can see his face as we have a little look at the standings. Things are looking very interesting in the overall standings. It is tied at the top of the tables. Sedia Dondolo and Lord Frieza, 387 points apiece. Sedia, having had the better finish, is ranked technically ahead and thus takes the full 50 kilos. Frieza will only have 45. Ashhill is in third, 30 points back with her 40 kilos. Steve Bain, just 7 points back from Ashhill with 35 kilos. Gus Peters in 5th. Johan Garlzak, having missed opening 2 rounds, resides in P6 and will have 25 kilos for tonight. With Alfie Bevan, who's had a struggle for the last couple of rounds, is sitting down in P7, 1 point off of Johan. So that'll be an interesting battle to watch throughout this series. Jacob Hine is in P8 with our first AM driver, Tim Bob, in the top 10 with 10 kilos of ballast in P9. Otto Hartnen rounds out top 10 and is final car with success ballast. Zach Silver, just 4 points off the top 10 with Hal Godwin in P12. Sean McGardle, 13th. Paul O'Grady, 14th. Matt Holman, having missed a couple of rounds this season, is down in 15th place, but has had good results. So I imagine we'll be trying to claw his way back into the top 10. That's our overall. So let's also have a little look at the class standings. Sedia still leads the way in the pro standings. This time has a little margin to second place, who, despite having missed a couple of rounds, is Johan, faring much better within the pro standings. 2 points off the top. Frieza down in third, 5 points off the top. Very close between top 2. Top 3, I should say, sorry. We'd expect Johan to maybe take a little leap to the front with their lesser success balance they have from the overall. Stevie Bain is in 4th, head of Ashhill, and Alfie Bevan down in P6. Gus Peters is in 7th with Jacob Hine P8. Otto Hartnen and Matt Holman rounds out the top 10th in pro standings. Within the AM standings, things are still pretty close. Tim Bob leads by 6 points in front of Zach Silver. He has a 12-point margin over Sean McGardle in 3rd. Paul O'Grady closely follows in 4th, ahead of Anna Mide. Andy Hearn is down in 6th, ahead of Lucas Smith. Ben might be a bit disappointed with P, I imagine, have Christian Overstreet and Yatin Kanoji, who rounds out the top 10 there. Qualifying is just getting started, so we'll zoom back out so we can see our cars heading round the first bank corner as they head round on their out laps.
Oh boy. Nothing pleases me more than seeing a train of Mini Coopers slipstream each other on a Tuesday night. How gloriously apprehensive I am currently feeling. As we said, qualifying is underway. So cars out on circuit, and look at that track map. It is literally a couple of straights, a limited chicane. We're going to see some rapid lap times, I reckon, this evening. 18 drivers taken to the grid, a slight drop in numbers, but hopefully not a drop in action for racing this evening. First qualifying will go underway. It will be quarter of an hour, no, 10 minutes, quarter of an hour? I can't
10
remember.
minutes.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. Haven't been rambling that long, have we? 10 minutes qualifying for race 1. We will go into a 5-minute qualifying for race 2. And then, as always, the sprint format races, quarter-of-an-hour races after those 2 qualifying sessions. But the third quarter-of-an-hour race will be based on the finishing positions of the grid for race 2. So, as I say, most weeks, as the Alfie's finding the wall and potentially finding another card, and he has a spin at the first chicane. Take the second race results, flip him on his head, and that will form the grid for race 3. 3 quarter-hour races, 1 make racing. Tuesday night, what could be better? I've got my non-alcoholic beer next to me. I'm looking forward to just a fantastic race action.
Interesting choice of drink for tonight with all the chaos we're expecting. Seeing there, Alfie Bevan having some struggles through the first chicane. As we now watch Matt Holman, who now leads the way, breaking a hole in the air for drivers down this long. Let's call it a back straight. It's a back straight with 4 or 5 corners along it, apparently. Yeah, interesting corner numbering. But now into second of our 2 bank turns before you get into this final chicane that will launch you into the final corner to start another lap. Come through here. You want to make sure you don't run too wide on that second part of the chicane, as it'll put you too tight to compromise your line through the final corner and give you a bad run onto the start finish straight. 1:30.6 is Matt Holman's time. See a little bit better from Jacob Hine, but let's go on board for a lap with Matt Holman, braking at the 150 board into the first chicane. Jump the first 2 curbs. Don't worry, those tires are not physical, to the delight of the drivers, shall we say. Will not be having quite that much carnage. Then get into turn 5 here, the first of the 2 long banked right-handers. You can see the guy just on the inside there, looking over. Wonderful viewing spot. And now we've got this long section. Been through turn 6 already, heading through turn 7 now as the drivers accelerate up to top speed. They are gear limited here, so listen carefully. I say listen carefully, you will hear that cars sing off the rev limiter very soon as they get to just over 220 kilometers an hour through turns 8, 9, 10, now into turn 11, having to lift. No brake usage for Matt Holman here. There will be as they start braking into turn 10 now. Second of our long banked right-handers. Not as banked this one, but the car does grip up quite nicely through the middle. Bring the car over to the right-hand side to open up the left-hander that starts this chicane sequence. Again, don't run too wide on the exit as it'll compromise your line. If you get the line right, you can be flat out through the final corner. Matt Holman not flat on this occasion. Will cost them a bit of time. They do improve a 1:30.5, but it's not enough to elevate them from P4.
Alas, it is not. Maybe saw a little bit of understeer going through that final corner. Was I spying on these front-wheel drive cars? All the power going to the front wheel, so it's having to steer and accelerate all at the same time. So we may see these guys, especially going through back on the power into these back straights. So they get a poor exit. It's going to hurt them. It's going to cost lap time. It's going to cost them positions in the race. But everyone has to deal with it. As that's very. I thought they were going to clonk the tyre wall there, but they'll just skip right through them because Assetto Corsa being Assetto Corsa. Yes. But that's all good as Adam continues on his lap, 1 second down. His best lap, should I say, is 1 second down. He's not currently 1 second down. Just waiting for him to come to the first intermediate. He goes through, we'll call that turn 1. There's a little bit of a, I say turn 1 and 2 is a chicane, so it's turn 3 really, isn't it? Little kink left here, we'll call that turn 4, because why not? I'm not sure the actual official corner turns. As we go to a back straight, it isn't really a back straight, it's almost like we were at Spa-Francorchamps last night. They're going down the back straight, it isn't the back straight. These cars are flat, they can keep it flat through here. They may have to lift ever so slightly here going into this very slightly tighter double apex right-hander. The majority of that section, spit to the floor and hold on for dear life, go onto the brakes into this other end of the circuit, now banked right-hander. There's going to be a complex of a couple of cars, a couple of corners coming up after that. We'll jump back a little bit through the orders. You also Hartman tackling that same corner a bit more neatly and potentially the Adam Ely who we were following. Goes through the final sector. It's almost like a very Le Mans-esque kind of little sector there in the middle sector. You've got the S's. Quite fast flowing. Keeps the power down. Gets a line 130.091. It's a new pole lap time, an improved lap time for pole. And flirting with the 129s.
Yeah, Lord Fraser next cross line puts themselves P4. As drivers starting another lap. 3 minutes left in the qualifying session, so drivers will get this lap and one more as we see Fraser through the first chicane. Not quite as aggressively over the curbs. You don't want to take them too much. They do upset the car, and as well you've got the gravel on the inside which will slow the car down. But let's have a little look back out front. Matt Holman still leading the train. Let's see if we can get the sectors. He's 6/10 down on Harkonnen's time, improving, but it's actually invalidated that going quickly. Jacob Hine, purple middle sector on my timing screen here. But they're still nearly 10th.5 off. But it's up to second place, just over 2/10 off, not improving in that final sector. Paulo Grady, driver on 2 personal best sectors, bumps themselves up to P9. Not too many improvements on this lap. Can see that's actually go to Andy Hearn. They're second down on Harkonnen's time, but currently sitting down in 16th place. They'll be looking to improve that, and they should be able to find a few positions to get themselves a little further up the grid. Through the final corner now, bouncing over the inside curb, hoping it doesn't unsettle the car too much. Cross the line now, and it's up to 13th.
Not a bad lap, but definitely some time to find. We say not a bad lap, 1.12 seconds off the pace, but if you get the right slipstream in, that time can be somewhat easily found. Just may need to communicate with another driver or try and hitch up to the slipstream. We may see if they can improve on that time. However, go with Stevie Bain, who is going through the final sector now on the brakes for the right-hander. We have to jump to Karolzak instead. He's actually on a personal best, only 1/10 off of pole time as he goes through the final sector, trying to get the car to turn in. It does reasonably do so, even though it's that front-wheel drive, it's going to lack on the corners, and it is a new second place lap time. It's not far off from what Harkonnen has set already.
So drivers coming back across the line. It's like a Tim Bob through the final corner now. Looks like a clean run. Can see on the throttle trace holding flat out through there. Do they improve in the end? No, not an improvement in the end. Doesn't look like many people are improving. Alfie Bevan though has improved up to P7. But drivers now starting their final lap. A few of them heading to pit lane. Also noticed Sedia reset back to pit lane, looking to get fresh tyres on the car, but will, with the fixed setup that we have in this series, will have taken on the 20 litres of fuel that is in the setup. But Matt Holman going for an improvement here, as we're not seeing too many green sectors. Tim Bob improving in the first sector, as well as Ashhill and Jadon Kanoji. So we'll check back on them, and actually Harkonnen finding some time through the first sector as well. But it'll be Matt Holman, they'll be the first driver to cross the line to finish their final flying lap of those that are taking their final flying lap. swinging the car into the final left-hander. Had to take a little bit of a lift. Dondolo bumps themselves up to P3. Matt Holman jumps them for P3. Then Alfie Bevan now 4 thousandths of a second off of provisional pole as they head into this long right-hander. There's a car off there on the outside. Trying to say, I think that was Kanoji. Adamide has had a crash and has thrown away their final flying lap. But up to the line now. Tim Bob crosses the line, stays in P10. Alfie Bevan jumps himself up to P3. Gus Peters jumps up a spot, and Friese has aborted on their lap after losing time in the middle sector. And that is our grid for our first race here at Salzburgring.
Most notably on that final flying lap, Harkonnen managing to break into the 129s. Last lap qualifying there for him. It was very much go for it or completely lose out, but finds more time on that flying lap with very limited time to go in the qualifying session. Finds the will and the speed to go through and set a lap into the 129s. Fantastic stuff from him.
Yeah, fantastic stuff indeed. A reminder of what the ballast is on your screen. As you can see, Otto Hartman only 5 kilos, so taking advantage of the lack they have. And Matt Holman's actually just put in a P2 time, despite the fact it showed us them having completed. That's
cheeky.
Cheeky indeed. We'll have to... yeah, I'm not sure if that's just a little error on our timing screen of the numbers, or maybe we missed them getting across the line. But yeah, one final flying lap in, and yeah, they've apparently put themselves onto the front row, looking again to make up for having missed a couple of rounds this season. We do have one drop round, but that only helps so much when you have missed multiple races so far. So that is our qualifying session, and we will get ready for start of race 1 in about 2 minutes time. As a reminder, let's see, this is your grid for the race coming up. Otto Hartman on, well, I say grid, I took that screenshot before Holman bumped up, so it'll be Otto Hartman and then Matt Holman in second place. Johan Karlzak will roll off P3 in front of Alfie Bevan in P4. Sedia Dondolo in P5, have Jacob Hine in P6. Gus Peters P7, Lord Friese P8, Ashel P9. Tim Bob rounding out the top 10 in front of Adam Ely. Steve Bain taking P12, have Paul Grady in 13th. Christopher Street will roll off of 14th, have Andy Hearn 15th. Jadon Kanoji in 16th, have Ben Might, he drops down to 17th, and Toscano really struggling there, a few seconds off the pace, down in 18th position. 50 minutes of racing coming up, but a lot of, before we worry about those 50 minutes, we gotta get through that first chicane, and something tells me it might not be...
no,
it'll be interesting.
We'll see. We shall see. We pray for a very peaceful start to this race. Whether we'll get it or not, I am not entirely sure.
I am not sure either. So we wait for the lights to come on our screen as we look back over the rear wing of Otto Harkonnen, our pole sitter. Matt Holman on the left, Johan Karlzak directly behind, then Alfie Bevan just off to the left in 4th position. How will the drivers fare into T1? How aggressive will they be, knowing that that chicane is ever so tight? Lights about to... Yeah, it certainly will be. Lights about to come on now. Here they come. All 6 lights are on. And, oh, I think that is a jump start by Alfie Bevan in P4. before they jump to the front of the grid, but if they did jump start, it'll be a drive-through. Johan trying to get themselves in front of Matt Holman is trying to nudge their way in front, getting a little bit cheeky. They have had the momentum and has actually gone for a dive bomb into T1. Drivers fighting their way through the first chicane, and looks like there's been a little bit of contact, but everyone is through.
We still got the qualifying results up, so you can't quite see the timing tower. We'll just try and...
Thank you.
There you go, that's right, no worries. Alfie moving up to the lead, getting through positions through that first chicane. Everyone looks to have somehow relatively peacefully got through that first chicane. Kawasak's regained a position, losing... Harkonnen losing out there, dropping down to third, and Kawasaki getting up past Harkonnen for P2 at the moment. Biggest losers so far, really. Not actually, really, that many biggest losers. There's a couple of people who lost 2 positions, actually. I think that's the biggest losers that we've had, 2 drivers in 2 positions from the start. So a relatively peaceful start for now. 15 minutes to go. There's a moment there for P4, that's Matt Holman. Getting very squirrely, going through onto the entry of that back end corner. Getting a couple of wheels on the grass, and looks like to temporarily turn that Mini Cooper into a drift car until those front wheels elected to tell it, nope, you're going to go power into the corner. This is the way we're going, whether you like it or not.
Field is still very close as Johan Karlzak in the slipstream of Harkonnen is going to try and take second place here. Could be the lead if Alfie Bevan does have a jump start penalty on the brakes. So Harkonnen's going to try and come back there side by side through the chicane. It gets a bit awkward. Harkonnen, though, is going to be the one that loses out. Matt Holman sees the opportunity, gets on through in the slipstream as well. Jacob Hine trying to follow through as well. It's going to be on the outside of this long banked corner. Can they hang it the long way around, carry the momentum, as we have had a crash at the opening chicane? Chris Overstreet, driver involved, dropping to the back of the field, but side by side as they come down this back straight. Jacob trying to get slipstream off of Holman in front. Harkonnen squeezing them, and it's neck and neck as they head towards fast right-hander that's coming up.
It'll be wise to try and box him in here a little bit as Holman tries to take the race in line, and I think Harkonnen will, as you said, try to use the slower car of Holman to try to hold off the position. However, it's still side by side. Holman's got ahead a little bit, gives him a bit of a breathing room to fight. Harkonnen, however, on the inside in that blue Oreo liveried car of the biscuits are available as they go through the final sector.
Still side by side into this final chicane. Looks like Harkonnen will just finally hold on. But can Jacob get back into the slipstream? As we do see that drive-through penalty for Alfie Bevan, that will drop them back down the field. Luckily, the pit lane here isn't too long, but they have slid their way through that chicane, and there they come back out of the pits. As we see Gus Peters trying to make a move down the inside of Jacob Hine, who has to cut second part of the chicane. Though Gus, with the momentum, will get the move done on the exit and is up to P4.
Indeed, he is. May raise a couple of eyebrows for taking a little bit too much of the quill on the inside, but that will be down to post-race stewarding. May get a penalty for it if it's reviewed. But Jacob Hine getting past Gus Peters there as well, so I think it's like Gus Peters making the move and then giving the place back potentially.
I've given the place back, or Jacob Hind found their way back through. Either way, Jacob's back up to 4th, trying to chase down the cars in front. And Gus Peters in the slipstream might try and have a go again. Side by side between Adam Ede and Ash Hill as they come towards turn 11. See in the background as well, Frieza and Alfie Bevan fighting over P11. That's very far down for 2 quick drivers. But also got side by side in front. Dondolo trying to get to the inside of Paulo Griddy. Has got the move done, but Paulo Griddy going for the cutback, getting onto the grass, trying to get their car to fit. Unfortunately, not quite working out for them, but with some slipstream down start finish straight, if like a good exit here out of the final turn, maybe could make a move work. Matt Holman was closing down at the front of the pack, but looks like Harkonnen has closed back up in the slipstream. Is thinking about a move into the first chicane, isn't going to go for it. See the drivers bouncing over the curb. Harkonnen trying to get the better exit, make a move towards turn 3. We see Alfie Bevan in the back round, has an issue, is spinning round,
Ooh.
uses front wheel drive, straighten the car back out, but that's going to lose him a couple of places as they were fighting with Friese for P11. Let's go back out in front. Harkonnen hasn't got the move done on Holman, but is using Slipstream. Look at them gaining. They're going to go to the right-hand side. It'll be the inside for the eventual right-hander coming up. But is Matt Holman close enough to sneak a bit of Slipstream off of Johan Krelzak? But Johan moves over to the right-hand side and back to the left. It's side by side. Will Matt is committing to the outside here. Can he hold it there?
Brave. So brave. He's got to be inside line. If you can hold it around the outside, be inside for the next couple of corners, but I don't think he can. Goes for the over-under, actually. Again, using the outside line.
But compromises Harkonnen's line into that chicane. Look at that, Harkonnen tight line into the final corner. That could give Matt Holman a better run onto the start-finish straight, though doesn't look like he's been able to absolutely capitalise on it. Still some racing further back. Alfie Bevan trying to get past Kanoji, going around the outside of the final corner, and has got the move done. Kanoji instantly back into Slipstream. As you see, cars coming down to start-finish straight, looking for the Slipstream somewhat. Has also got some fighting behind. Stevie Bean and Andy Hearn have been fighting over 15th place, as Adam Ide has had a little transponder issue jumping to the front of the field. Don't worry, he hasn't done that. That is just a timing issue. But
No, gets away with that. That's fine. Well, just bearing that in mind as he retrains the circuit. But Stevie Bain, who we've seen up front more than anything, now struggling down in 16th on the back of Andy Hearn. And they will usually see a bit more further up in 16th position, which is a shame. However, in the slipstream, going down into the second sector now, it's a bit of a bump draft. Did I see there?
That was definitely a bump draft. There's been quite a few popping up on the timing screen for contact. Though with these cars being front-wheel drive, they're not too unsettled by it, despite the, we say straight, not being so straight. Yeah, Steve Bean looking to the outside now, trying to get better as these two are closing in on Toscano a bit, who is looking a little more comfortable in the race. You can see quite a few drivers into the 29s now, going quicker than they were, than even our pole time was in qualifying, as the track continues to rubber in. Let's look further up as Gus Peters and Jacob Hines side by side through the first chicane. Once again, it's compromised both of their momentum. It looks like it's going to be Dondolo trying to compromise here past Jacob Hines. Can they get alongside Gus? No. In fact, it's going to be side by side. Jacob's going to try and hang this round the outside of turn 5, which they did indeed. Paulo Grady in the background looking to see if they can capitalise as well on this fighting, but doesn't. Oh, they actually do have a run here. They get alongside Dondolo. We'll look over the rear wing of Jacob Hine. These two as they run side by side. Still have side by side further back between Adam Ide and Ash Hill, as well as Friese and Bevan fighting once again after they're coming together at the chicane. Into the right-hander now. Dondolo backs out of that one, but actually will get the over-under as Paul Grady runs a bit deep, runs a bit wide, but it's going to send into the braking zone. Squeeze Dondolo down, not far enough alongside. Dondolo has to back out of that one.
Fantastic fighting from them all, giving each other space, but also learning as to when and where not to push each other too hard, but enough to try and fight for positions. That's Alfie Bevan get up into 11th for the recovery drive from his drive-through at the start of his race. So a jump start up till 11th now, right in the tail of Lord Fraser for 10th, and I'm sure this will be a somewhat of an easy move. Lord Fraser actually setting, is that the fastest lap? No, it's just a pop-up saying we're viewing Lord Fraser, ignore me.
It was also Harkonnen saying the fastest lap, as Fraser defending from Alfie Bevan, but compromising their line on the entry, loses momentum, and Alfie Bevan's got themselves alongside. It'll be the outside for the banked corner coming up here, but we have seen that work so far this race. Alfie sends it in, and Fraser has to drop back. Those Alfie maybe a little bit too wide. They'll carry the momentum, but Fraser's got the nose back alongside, and it'll ultimately be Alfie, who wins out with the slipstream as well from Adam Ide in front, and will probably go try challenging in front as Ash Hill comes back on Fraser. Look at that, Alfie Bevan, really good run. Already has the nose in front of Adam Ide, as Ash Hill still trying to get alongside. In the end, happens to bump draft Fraser up towards Adam Ide. Looks to the inside now, though it isn't far enough alongside, we'll have to back out. Can Fraser maybe make a move into turn 12? They're going to try the outside here, use the grip of the banking, but it's a little too long for right round. That turn 12 not as banked as turn 5 on the other side of the track. Makes it a little bit harder to go side by side through there.
Just a little bit. You'll have to think about maybe making another move at some point, but I'll have to stay put in that position for now. Alfie, though, as you said, getting past and starting maybe to break away a little bit. He's got another car up ahead of him. A bit of a distant tow there from Tim Bob potentially, but for now stays in that position and has a bit of a Alfie train, and everyone's behind him trying to squabble for position.
Per exit out of the chicane for Alfie and Fraser, that's given Ash Hill an opportunity. Are they going to send around the outside? Not quite. Adam Ide looking for ways past Alfie Bevan too, getting onto the grass a little bit, and has actually nudged the back of Alfie. Whoa. That's going to compromise both of their momentum, as we can see these two closing up now, but still in their own battle. It's 2 by 2. Which way do you go? Where is the space going to show for Fraser? They're closing. Adam defending the inside there, just running it sort of a little bit wider through the kink to make sure Fraser can't get to their inside. Fraser's good, try and go to the outside, running right up to the grass, but instead might lose out to Ash Hill here as Adam Ide has to look back on the inside of Alfie. Side by side into the final couple of corners and onto the gravel for Ash Hill. Fraser, I think, realises maybe squeezed Ash Hill a bit too much there. Slows down to not take advantage of it, and but does drop these two back off of the two in front here. Still fighting side by side as they come down start finish straight. 2.5 minutes remaining in the race. Are actually going to make swap to the lead. Otto Hartnen looking to the outside of Johan to try and take the race lead back after having pole position for this race.
He wants that badly, doesn't he? He breaks away from Matt Holman actually, as he's a bit of a distant 2 seconds away now, is Matt, but I'm sure we'll be just near enough to collect up the pieces if things do go sideways. I say that, Harkness actually got a fantastic run going down the back straight that isn't a straight, as he goes side by side with Karolczak. And counter braking, so I have a feeling might actually be ahead. Karolczak's still got a little bit of a nose alongside, and it's exhaling to the right-hander. He's still very much there. Harkin has to give him space to go into the braking zone again. Still side by side, giving each other space as they elect to go side by side and compromise themselves a little bit. Might slow him down a little bit, but that is Karolczak retaining the lead for now.
For now is the key point there. They come out for the final corner for the penultimate time up towards the line, and they will start the final lap of the race. Harkonnen in the slipstream will be looking to make the place up. They started on pole position. They'll want to win this race through the first chicane. Harkonnen, a little bit of a tire line on the first apex, actually bounces wide onto the grass, ruins her momentum, and will allow Johan to break away just that little bit. Will it be enough though to take the lead to win this race? When they get to the end of the lap, you can see Holman's closing in with that mistake a little bit in the background through the banked corner. Who's got the better exit? It's very even between the two. I think Johan a little quicker off, but will be in the slipstream for Harkonnen. Closing up. They will eventually hit the rev limiter, which will limit the slipstream's effectiveness at the end of this straight. And it seems like Harkonnen is just a little too far back here. Have they lost this race with that mistake through the first chicane into turn 11 now? Looks like Harkonnen is going to hold on to this one.
Only just. He may Yeah, he's only got a couple more corners left, and yeah, the timer almost about has hit 0, so this will be the final lap. And I think Kawasaki has lived to fight another day. There's only one more straight, not much of a straight to be fair. As they go through the final turn, Kawasaki comes to the line. Harkler not too far behind, manages to hold off the charge back from Harkler, does Kawasaki, and Holman takes a very deserved third as well. Peters, fourth. O'Grady fifth, Hines sixth. There's a battle for Hill and Fraser, mighty close together. They all go through onto the curb on the final turn. They're going to come side by side. And is that Ash getting up to 10th? Last ditch effort, getting them 2 positions past Lord Fraser. Fantastic stuff there from Ash Hill.
Brilliant finish from them, capitalising on a per exit from Fraser and Adam Ely. Gain 2 positions on the run to the line. There's not much distance between the final corner and the finish line to sort of make a last-ditch slipstream pass, but Ash Hill didn't need it. It was enough to take P10 on the line. What a finish that was. What a race.
Indeed, you got a little, it kind of broke up into a couple of packs earlier on, didn't it? And then it kind of split off into about 3 or 4 different packs. So we'll see what happens for race 2. It'll be a qualifying session again for race 2. Only 5 minutes long, so these drivers will potentially only get 2 or 3 laps at the very most in, and that'll maybe shake up the order a little bit more if those fast drivers don't get a good lap in. They may be slightly compromised with those behind.
They may be indeed. So yeah, let's just run through that finishing order once more. Johan Karlzak takes the win from 3rd on the grid, beating out both front row starters, Harknen and Matt Holman. Gus Peters made up a few positions, got up to P4 and up 8 places. Paul O'Grady gets into the top 5. Jacob Hine might be a little bit disappointed to be in P6. They could have been a lot further up. And I think more disappointed will be Dondlo. Started P5, dropped down to P7 by the end. Tim Bob makes up a couple of places in P8 and will hold on in front of Alfie Bevan. Making that jump start and having to make that drive-through penalty, losing out. But we'd recover to P9. Ash Hill loses 1 place, but gets back into the top 10 with the 2 overtakes between the final corner and the start-finish line. Amide will have sell for P11 as Fraser drops 4 places down to P12. They'll be a bit disappointed for that, and yeah, that won't help their championship battles. Steve Bain will take 13th, have Andy Hearn in 14th, Ben Might in 15th, have Yatin Kanoji in 16th, Toscano in 17th, and Chris Overstreet after an instant at the first chicane dropped to last and would not recover any further than that.
No, they won't. So, it's all over again.
We do indeed, and I must say, from what we saw of that race, it was surprisingly clean.
Yes. Not that we say we expect these guys to fight a bit door bangy, but for a track like this, where it's fast chicane, slipstreaming, corners that are far and few between, but enough corners to cause a bit of chaos, it was actually rather calm.
Yeah, it was indeed. But yeah, we'll get ready for our second race soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Aidan has said, we'll have a 5-minute qualifying session coming up where the drivers should get 3 flying laps if they get out quick enough. But yeah, they will have to get out quickly. Then we will have 2 15-minute races again.
Oh, wow.
Second 15-minute race set on that quali order. Some drivers will be hoping to do a little bit better in that one. I imagine there are a few disappointments from that first race. Some people, quick people, we'd expect to be a little further up. But then we will have the third reverse grid. 50 minutes for whoever wins second race to try and get as far back as they possibly can.
Yep, absolutely. And I am just seeing what's on stream. That's a very unique camera angle. I love it. That's brilliant. Yes, the cows are in force this evening. It's utter chaos. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Someone had to say it. Actually, Darren Wilkes in Twitch chat already beat me to it. That's fine. I can make corny jokes like that. Someone else has done it for me, so it's all good. Yeah, it's just brilliant. I love our Tuesday nights. It's fantastic. Cars out on circuit for a quick practice session, and oh, that's a very interesting graphic. Running out on the dirt as one of those cars goes past on the. I think is that the back end of the circuit.
This is turn 5.
So it's the first long right-hander.
Let us know in Twitch chat, what should we call this corner? Of course, it has to be something Kai or Moo related. Do we call it Moo corner, Kai corner? Or maybe you can think of something a little more interesting than that. Do let us know in Twitch chat. Or, if you're watching back on YouTube, let us know in the comments. And we'll have a little check. Maybe we'll pick some of the, if there are any interesting ones, maybe we'll share them on stream next week. So yes, little shout out to all those watching over on YouTube. On the VOD, hope you're all enjoying the series as much as we are. But yeah, a little bit of warm-up still remaining as we calm down. I believe it's Johan, if I'm remembering correctly. Apologies if it's not. My memory is absolutely awful. Saying either Corner or Milkman's Corner.
I like the Milkman's Corner. I can see a Cowner. Yeah, Kramer, Cowner. Yeah, okay, cool. Kramer, Donington. So I think I get that from. I'm in favour of Milkman's Corner. I quite like that. But if you do have any ideas, do go through the stream, and if you're watching back on YouTube following the stream's finished, when the stream is finished, do chuck it in and leave it in the comments and see. We'll just have a gander and see what your wonderful imaginations have come up with. And also say if you're wanting to also pop it into Discord as well. Come and pester us. Come and say hi. Discord.gg/oNiD Community Racing. Come pester us with your best corner names based on a cow. I think I was trying to think one myself. The other corner. Thank you, Rich FPS 81. That's a good one. I like the other corner.
Can I just say, I do quite like this banked corner of turn 5. We've seen some utterly brilliant moves in the first race of people hanging it around the outside. You know, banked corners, when they're done right, they are great for racing.
They are. Absolutely. It's one of these circuits like this that don't often get seen on a Assetto Corsa. I think when we do find these little gems like this, I think it's brilliant that we're able to get the league running. And by all the way, it's offending me tonight. And by the way, folks, all mods that are widely accessed, free to use as well. And it's just wonderful to have that resource available and to do things like this. And as I said, these circuits we put on, especially ones like this that are high speed, but a couple of braking zones, space for the drivers to actually drive and race. It's quite nice to see.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, this series, we have seen quite a few tracks we haven't used before, and sort of new additions to our roster, you could say. It's great to see the variety, and that's what I love about these AC nights that we have on Tuesday. The variety, we're always having something constantly different. It's not like what you get on ACC or even the Mon Ultimate, where you're stuck on one or two car classes at the same rotation of tracks. I mean, the Mon Ultimate only has 11 tracks, so you know, we're obviously hoping for more. We just got one today in Qatar. But, eventually it does get a little bit boring. It does get a little bit repetitive. You come to AC and you go from one season to another and none of the tracks are the same. Next season, again, a third completely unique selection of tracks. Well, actually, knowing next season, that's not technically true. There is one repeat track, but I mean, that doesn't have to be a repeat. It's only because it suits within the theme of the championship, shall I say. And there's another track that I'm quite looking forward to next season that we don't really get to see on other sims. So, a little teaser for next season. It'll still be a little while before we can announce that, but from the planning that's gone on, I'm really looking forward to it. That is the future, though. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Qualifying will be coming up shortly. And yeah, I'm sure these guys are waiting very patiently for the qualifying. I would say they're quite excited for it.
I've just had a thought. This corner here, it's not a corner name, but I like to think that these drivers will be saying to each other, all right, it's time to pasture around this corner. Past you around the corner. I'm sorry.
Maybe it is about time we start. We moved on from milking these puns. The milk kind of going off by now.
And we're starting to get a bit moody with these, aren't we?
Please, drivers, come and save us. Yeah, we need saving at turn 5, please.
Yes, absolutely. We need you to go out for qualifying. We need you to go set some lap times, please.
Oh, look, there's some cars on track. Let's have a little look at them, shall we? As they head through turn 5 with the guys on the inside. Of course, track grip, as we have had to switch servers, effectively reset. It's quite a bit lower. You can see down at 95%. That's going to make things a little bit more difficult. Not to mention the shorter time. You can see on the track map how sort of clustered all the drivers are. Another little interesting fact about this track that unfortunately we haven't quite seen, as we've been a little too busy looking at cars. All the pits are actually in the garages, so all the drivers have to pull out their garages, turn hard 90 degrees to the right to get into pit lane. So maybe should have got a side of that, but it's something a bit unique. You're usually just used to the pit boxes being in the actual pit boxes and the drivers just driving out, sort of what you see in more American series where they don't have their pit garages.
And of course. Well, the outlaps are just done. We're going to ignore those times that we've got on the board. So the flying laps are starting now, as Dundalo is the first driver on a flying lap. We'll go with Harkonnen, who's going to be about 9th in this queue of cars. So he's got a bit of a slipstream ahead, he's got a bit of a tow. And where he's on circuit, that's not going to help his scores, that's going to be in the validation, so he's going to have to back out of this. Allow other drivers to go past. And go back at it again. So that's going to be a write-off. This is what we mean by these shorter qualifying sessions, being able to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, essentially. If you don't get a lap in, you're going to have very limited opportunity to start another.
Indeed, and we're actually just seeing a couple of drivers have found themselves in pit lane. Just got Andy Aaron turning out of the garage. Ben Myatt following. So yeah, a couple of drivers are only going to get one flying lap in here coming out of the pits now. So they're in quite a disastrous position. Let's try and find someone else to get on board with. Let's go with Steve Bain, who's in this queue of cars, trying to set their first flying lap.
Indeed, they are going to go through the final sector here. This should be a valid lap, hopefully. As we see some times come up on the board, they are very much, actually they're flying laps actually, those 130, so representative lap times from the folks there, but Stevie Bain not assessing a valid lap time.
No, not valid indeed. As we have the look down start finish straight. So not setting valid laps. Paul O'Grady, Steve Bain, Otto Harkonnen, Adam Ely, and Ben Myatt, of course, a couple of them returning to pit lane. as the Tim Bob.
Ooh! That was an interesting set of corners. Was that Toscano goes through reverse chicane?
No, Toscano's just come to complete their out lap. It seems like they're a bit late to the party. They're only going to have one flying lap. But yes, time is crucial. Drivers now starting their... Oh, they might get one more lap in, actually. Let's us see who is front of the queue. It is Dondolo who is front of the queue. As of the initial times, Matt Holman has put themselves on provisional pole with a 130.3, a couple of tenths ahead of the field, but they've invalidated this second lap. Well, carrying board with Sedia here, as you can see there, Tim Bob, 1,000th up on Matt Holman's time. Purple first sector. Dondolo across line will put themselves up to P3 as we see the field coming towards the line. Alfie Bevan up to P5 there. Jacob Hine into P3. Stevie being up to P9. Overstreet into P11. The times just keep coming in. Otto Harkonnen only P11 as they start their final flying lap, and Kanoji just about crosses the line in time to start another lap. They invalidated that lap. Final times now for drivers crossing the line, including Tim Bob, who puts themselves up to P15. Let's see, next driver across line is Toscano, but looks like they've messed this lap up. It is invalidated. Next up, Adam Ide, their only flying lap this session, having returned to pit lane. Let's see what they can do through the final few corners, swinging the car into the left-hander using Biv curb on the inside. Up to the line, where will they put themselves? P9 provisionally. Andy Hearn will be next. And they've invalidated their lap again, so no valid lap for them. Ben Myatt has had an issue into the final chicane. You can tell there's no braking on their trace as they come up to the line. And let's see. Yeah, they indeed invalidate the time at the end there. Dondolo will get themselves up to P3 as the drivers come across the line for the final time.
Holman!
29.9. Paulo Grady bumps themselves up to P7. Who next? Ash Hill up to P9 as Gus Peters goes into P6. Harkonnen, our pole sitter from the first race, can only manage P3. And Stevie being in 14th. I think that is all of our drivers done now. We have a couple of more still circulating, though I don't know. Maybe I think Andy Hearn might be on a... no, Andy Hearn has invalidated this lap, but we'll get round to finish it at least. And
still saying he's going for it. Still looks valid, unless I'm not seeing something that you are.
On the timing screen, his sectors have come up as red, which means invalid. And unless there is a little bug, sometimes the timing screen isn't always right as they come across the line. Yeah, was not quick enough to get them any further up the grid anyway. But yeah, and that for some reason bugging the timing board out a little bit and not showing him as completing, as having seen the checkered flag. So that will be our grid now for the second race coming up.
Interesting second race. Holman, being actually relatively quick in that first session, was up there challenging. So it would be nice to see if we can do anything from pole position. But a couple of drivers there, slightly, maybe a little bit out of position. Harkonnen being one of them. I know he's still up there in top positions, but it's very unusual to. I say unusual. It's very interesting to see he's not taking that pole position once more.
Yeah, Holman is the only driver to have improved, from what I can tell, improved from the first quali to second quali. Sorry, just was second person. Paulo Grady improving as well in P9 that session. I believe if we can
There you go.
bring this up. Yeah, there are our quali results as we wait for the drivers to grade up for the second race.
The
Some mixed
inevitable
results.
pause.
Yeah, I can see a couple of disappointments already in there. Alfie Bevan down in P8, Frieza down in P11. Really struggling this round. And gotta remember, they only have 45 kilos of ballast. Dondolo with the full 50 kilos, still up there in P4, having finished in P7 last race.
Yes. We'll see what they can do with that. Well, cars now onto the grid regardless. It won't be long before we see those 6 red lights up on our screen, and we'll get the race underway. It will be Holm and Karolzak on the front row. And we'll see what they both can do as they will get away from the start, hopefully nice and cleanly, and hopefully not under threat from the cars behind.
Hopefully, indeed. Not long before we get racing here. Should see the lights any moment now. Here they come. Second race, the grid shuffled from a shortened and less grippy qualifying session. The lights are coming on now. How well will Matt Holman get away from pole position? As the lights head out, wasn't a good start for him the first time. Let's see if he can hold the lead down towards turn 1. Let's jump on board. It's a good start from Johan, who's actually taking clear of the lead into Team 1.
Indeed, yeah.
And will be unchallenged. Harknen thinking about getting the inside of Holman, but isn't far enough alongside. And through the first chicane we go. Are we all cleanly through? It doesn't...
No, we're not.
No, it doesn't look like we are this time.
Ben Meyer, Andy Hearn coming up, and Stevie Bain as well involved. Dropping down the order. Is it timing tower, please?
Thank you. I keep forgetting.
It's alright, no worries. As, yeah, a couple of drivers there falling foul to potentially the first chicane. Can't get a replay, sadly, as they don't have the function for that on Assetto Corsa, but Karolzak leading away from Holm and getting the jump at the start, but Holm is in the slipstream. And have a look around the outside as they go through the straight. That's not a straight. And behind them as well, Hine also making moves past Harkonnen. Harkonnen's looking a bit vulnerable to attack here, as indeed the moves be done, but Jacob's a dip of a wheel in the grass. It's going to lose some momentum and going to give the inside line to Harkonnen. He'll have a bit of a hard job to hold around the outside. Maybe switch back for the inside, but doesn't quite have the turn in as of yet for in that Mini Cooper.
Through the final chicane now, Harkonnen dipping some wheels into the grass. That's like Jacob too close back up, but nowhere to go. They'll have the slipstream though as they come down to start finish straight. Will he go for a move into T1 in the slipstream? Let's jump on board, looking over the rear wing of Harkonnen. You can see Jacob closing. Harkonnen's going to try and defend the inside here. That's going to compromise their line. Can Jacob get the better exit? No, Harkonnen carries good speed through there and will hold on. See them coming towards turn 5 now. Looks like he dropped a little too far back. Let's go to Gus Peters, who's trying to defend from Alfie Bevan. Looking to the outside of turn 5 and is actually cutting back to the inside. Same with Paulo Grady in the background.
3 Milkman's Corner we go, and yes, I'm calling it Milkman's Corner. Well done. As we'll see them go side by side down the back straight. That isn't a straight. And I think Alfie's got a run there. He tried to go through the over-under, kind of got the car back on the inside of turn 5 and use that momentum to get past, but he's not going to have it all his own way, as Peters is still there, but I think, yes, that's move done. That's Alfie now ahead for 6th position.
See them to the inside here. And I believe we are actually having a red flag called. So the race is being suspended.
Oh.
For an issue. So we'll go back to this old screen And yeah, we'll wait for further updates.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
As the race has been suspended.
What in the world has happened there? Drama. Love a bit of drama on Tuesday night. Let's see if we can figure out what's what. I'm not seeing what's happening. We're just keeping an eye on Twitch chat. I
Yeah.
think the server itself decided to so
I think
right.
I know what has happened, but yeah, we will need
I've
a server
seen
restart to fix that. So while we do that, me and Aidan are just going to take a little break, and we'll be back in a few minutes once we're getting ready for race 2. So, we are back. After those unfortunate technical issues, we will be restarting from the start of Q2, as if it never happened. So unfortunately for Matt Holman, he'll have to repeat that qualifying performance. But for some of those like Alfie, Bevan, and Friese, it's another chance for them to say a good time. We get to see the cars pour out of the pit garages as they head away for second qualifying. You can see a couple Friese there lagging behind a little bit of the later cars out. Remember, they'll want to get out if they want to secure 3 flying laps. A couple of late goers that will obviously aren't too fussed on if they get that 3rd flying lap or not. They just want some clear track space, which might not be too detrimental if they don't have it, as the slipstream, as we've seen, somewhat powerful round here. So the cars are on their outlaps, and yeah, it's good to be back going again, even if we had to have a slight repeat here.
Nothing wrong with a repeat. It's fine. I'm back. Sorry about that. I left you hanging there. Yes, back in qualifying, and we do now know the reasons to why the server restarted. Nothing horribly wrong, but just a little bit of admin that had to happen just to ensure the issue doesn't happen again. So, back with quali, and we see cars back out for the shorter qualifying session as it is. So we'll hope, maybe see if Matt Holman can reclaim that pole position again. We'll see what happens as the session evolves, and a bit of a second chance for some of those who didn't or weren't able to get in the lap times they wanted to get in.
Yep, second chance indeed. Leading the field is Dondolo once again as they head down the field. Again, I'm going to head to Harkonnen, who's a little further in the pack, to see if they can repeat that Q1 performance. Maybe we'll have a little look at Matt Holman a little later. Better start to the session already for Harkonnen. Last time, in our first take, shall we say, they ran wide at the chicane. Whereas this time they've managed to keep it on the track. Maybe understeering a little bit through turn 5 here as they run a little bit wide. But already seeing a few people invalidating their times, including Alfie, Bevan again, and Kanoji. Matt Holman setting the purple first sector. So actually, let's jump on board with him. Second in line. Might be a little too far back for a bit of slipstream here, though.
May just about. It's not. It's going to be. Well, he might get a little bit of a benefit if you can close up the gap a little bit more than he has already. But for now, it does look like he's going to be just punching that horn on his own. But Carr does close up ahead of him. But that's a little bit of understeer as he tries to get back on the power, going through that second part of the S's there. Gets it gathered up, but it's going to cost him time, running wide into that final part of the corner.
See drivers coming across the line here. Johan with the fastest middle and so far final sector puts themselves to the top of the board. 1:30.1. That is a bit faster than sort of the average time we've seen in last session. Look how close it is there from 3rd to 5th. All drivers that are saying 1:30.5 still have quite a bit of the field to come across the line. Just see them here. Let's go on board with Matt Holman, see if he might be able to repeat. We'll see how the times are as they come through Sector 1. Matt Holman looking good so far.
It is indeed. Oh, that's a purple first sector as well from Matt Holman. Karolzak's going quicker. Matt Holman's going purple, so is Karolzak's going purple as well, but Matt Holman is just that little bit more quicker than Johan Karolzak. Is that a bit of a slipstream as well from the car ahead? You go down into turn 7?
Turn 11, now into turn 12. Dondolo there. Getting on the brakes and backing. I just go have to let the whole train through. It might be a bit difficult for them to get back going again. Drivers not improving too much in the middle sector. It is a personal best for Matt Holman. Not in front of Johan yet, though. Can they set a good final sector here? to maybe catapult them towards front. They'll get one more lap as they come up to the line. It is only P2 here, 33 thousandths off, but Johan improves by a little bit. Puts them 8 tenths clear. Harkonnen comes across the line, doesn't improve enough for positions to see Matt Holman's fly the car through that opening chicane.
Look at the gap between the first and second though. That is 0.081, if my math is correct. Less than a tenth.
Let's see, highest first sector for Matt Holman, not improving this time. Neither is Johan. Alfie Bevan, though, improving on their time. 1,000th off of Johan's time. Paulo Grady's had a good opening sector, but Otto Harkonnen, who set a purple sector 1. Let's see, can Harkonnen repeat what they did in the first qualifying when they put themselves on pole?
Here comes Harkonnen, purple first sector. And he's got a tow. He's got a couple of cars ahead of him. It's pulling him along. It's punching it holding the air for him. And that's going to be helping him tenfold. Purple second sector as well. Holman can't match it.
In fact, purple second sector has gone to Paulo Grady. One of our AM drivers is slightly behind Harkonnen, who has a purple first sector. But both of these drivers running quickly in these conditions. Let's see them through final corner. Can Paulo Grady hold on to Alfie Bevan? Much better second qualifying from them. Paulo Grady up to P2 momentarily, instantly beaten by Harkonnen. Matt Holman will have to sell for P4 at best here. Let's see, not many drivers improving. Steve Bean last finish. Harkonnen will be actually last to come across the line, but wasn't improving, invalidated that final lap. Didn't need it, as they will finish.
But the top four within 0.083 of each other. That's insane. Oh, what a great little qualifying. I was thrilled for Matt getting pole in that previous qualifying. It's still nice to see him up in fourth. 0.083 of a second behind though. It's nothing. Absolutely nothing between those top four. That's brilliant. Going back down the field as well. Gaps between 6th, 7th and 8th. Absolutely nothing as well. We've got such great lap times here. And like I said, I'm thrilled for Matt for getting pole in the first qualifying, but what a second qualifying it's delivered on this restart of the second race.
It has done indeed. Paulo Grady up in P3. I wonder what he can do from there. Again, another disappointing qualifying for Freeze. Still down in P11. They haven't been able to turn it around. Nearly a second off the top pace. Also just noticed, like that gap between Dondolo, Hill and Peters. All three of them within half a tenth of each other. Really good time. Andy Hearn comes across the line. Apparently was on a lap. Did improve their time, but I don't think got themselves up any positions. They're sitting in... they're still in 15th. Maybe I'll remember to remove these quality results before we get underway for the race. Flip a coin and it's a weighted coin though, it'll land on forget. But yeah, just a reminder, those quality times so close. Anything could happen in this race. One thing though, I do expect Johan to lead into turn 1. He's been pretty good off of the 2 starts we've seen so far.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if he can replicate those starts in his hand. It's been an interest. It's quite interesting him being able to put off the line and get a good start from these races. So we'll see if he can replicate that. But I think Kawasaki will be slightly worried about that. I would think.
Yeah, I wonder how well Paulo Grady will be able to hold on in third. I mean, not reverse grid yet, but you'd think with him being in P3, I think that even with reverse grids, that's his best starting position for the series.
I absolutely agree.
It'll be difficult to hold on to, but yeah, and can Friese get themselves up the grid somewhat. They lost, remember, 4 places from qualifying P8 for the first race. They fell to 12th, so it might be a bit difficult for them to make some places up here in this race, but they will have to try. Cars are on the grid now, and we have about 40 seconds before we head for race 2 this time.
We get to go all over again. Remove the quality results. As they're whispering in your ear, remove it.
I'll remember this time.
Okay. Right. Back on pole, followed by Harkonnen and O'Grady Holman fourth. Nothing separating them on qualifying. Something tells me there may be something separating them during the race. As we go on board with our pole sitter, rearing view, and it's lights out. Now and away we go. That's a very good start from the pole sitter. But that can't have been a jump start.
It was either time to perfection or it was a fraction too early, and we'll see Johan into the pit lane, but they'll be unchallenged into T1. Matt Holman's looking to inside of Paul O'Grady, who's jumping over that second apex curb, and it's still side by side between the pair of them as they head towards turn 5. It looks like Holman has got that move done. We'll look at Paul O'Grady as Alfie Bevan dives to the inside, but won't be able to carry the momentum on that tight line. And Paul O'Grady maybe running a little bit too wide. Alfie Bevan has drawn alongside and looks like does have slipstream at the moment from Holman, though doesn't have the momentum. Paul O'Grady pulls back in front and will tuck into that slipstream from Holman. Actually has a really good run on Holman. Is going to try and squeeze alongside, but there wasn't a car width there. Has to get onto the grass. That's going to lose him the momentum, and Alfie Bevan is through. Luckily for them, the cars behind are not that close. Gus Peters and Ash Hill fighting side by side behind that group as they head into turn 11. Ash Hill on the inside. Gus Peters falls back into line. Stevie Bean and Jacob Hine running side by side. Jacob right up to the white line, just about holds the car onto the track. We'll have to hang around the outside of turn 11. Here is into the gravel goes Adam Ede in the background, but running out a little too wide for Jacob Hine. They drop back behind Friese and have Tim Bob right on their rear bumper, nearly come together. Actually did have a little bit of contact through that final chicane. Johan still leads by ahead of Harkonnen. Holman up into P3. Paul O'Grady falls to P5. I imagine they won't be too disappointed with that. Bevan closing in is on the inside here of Holman as they head into the chicane. Holman going to try and hang around the outside. Has to jump over that second apex a little bit, but that's sort of always going to happen when they run side by side through the chicane. It is just too tight to run double fouls. There's issues back here. Jacob Hine, very poor run through the chicanes, dropping places. Friese losing out to Kanoji as well.
Indeed, he is. I think. Oh god, that's Fraser on the inside. That very multicolored car. Kanoji ahead dives back into the slipstream, does Fraser and Kanoji. And thinks about trying to make a move up the inside, isn't it? It's right on the grass. You can't get a car alongside down unless you go off road. What are you doing, man?
It's just as close in front. Alfie in slipstream of Matt Holman. Paul O'Grady closing back up, thinking, maybe he can have a little come back, try and get himself back into the podium places, as Kanoji has had it off at turn 11 there and is dropping down the field. No contact came up as far as I see between them and Friese, so maybe looks like it was their own mistake. But through the final chicane here, Holman still trying to fend off this final podium position, but look at the run Alfie Bevan has. Alfie going for the bump draft, interestingly, towards their finish straight. Bad run for Paul O'Grady, though, in the background. They have Gus Peters pulling to the inside of them and getting in front as they head into the chicane.
Indeed they do, and that slipstream for Alfie's putting him along, keeping in touch with Holman here. The gap has now extended between third and second to 1 second. It's not that far, but the leaders are now fighting away as well. As also Harker's got moved on Karolzak.
Johan, I think, made a mistake there. Don't think he was under that much pressure. And yeah, you can tell by the sector times. 35.1 for Harkonnen, 35.8 for Johan, which is slower than everyone, down to Ben Myatt in 13th. But with the slipstream, is coming back here. He's going for the inside into turn 11. But Harkonnen, with the confidence on the outside, hanging it the long way round, carrying the momentum. Johan diving it down the inside on the brakes, though, has got the nose in front. Can Harkonnen hold it the long way around? Not that time. Brilliant move from Johan to get the lead back under braking.
Yep, absolutely. Very nice move. Nice battle from them both. And that's bringing third and fourth back into it as well. They're getting up. We want to make it a four-way battle for a lead in a few moments' time.
Bevan pushing Holman out of the final corner as they set identical lap times.
Absolutely crazy. They're pretty much nose down. It's now a four-way battle for the lead. That's Holman and Beaver now catching up and saying, come on guys, if you're not going to figure out who wants to take the lead, we'll do it for you. In the background is Gus Peters and O'Grady alongside each other. O'Grady making a move as we see Harkonnen trying to go around the outside. Maybe gets to drive out the corner, but actually maybe not, potentially not. Stays put for now.
Does have the momentum, pulls in for a little bit of slipstream, and will pull alongside Matt Holman. You have to imagine will be trying to get slipstream. He's getting bump drafted by Alfie. I think Alfie wants to get be a part of this leading front two battle, and he's trying to bump draft Matt Holman into it as well. Side by side between these two again. It's almost an absolute repeat of last time. Ryan Harkonnen in front on the outside, nearly into the grass once again, a little bit wider. And Johan doesn't even have to be brave on the brakes this time. He's already alongside, gets moved on. Harkonnen slots back to the inside. Doesn't want to hold themselves out to dry on that outside and to let Holman back through. Look at that, Holman looking to the inside. They can sense an opportunity coming up here as these four line astern now as they head through the final corner. Who's going to get the good exit? Paul O'Grady in the background is trying to fight with Peters and Ashhill as well as they're bumper to bumper. Pulling out the slipstream is Harkonnen, not close enough for a move this time round. It's Bevan who's really close enough for a move. They're playing the long game at this stage. Various degrees of cutting the first chicane as drivers bounce their way over the curbs. It's Harkonnen that has a bit of a poor exit. Holman looking to the outside. Is he going to send it the long way round? No, he isn't. He's going to sell back into line. Let's have a little look at Paul O'Grady and Gus Peters further as O'Grady trying to go the long way round. Paul O'Grady, Gus Peters doesn't get the move done in the corner but has the exit, and it'll be side by side between these two towards turn 11.
Oh boy. Battles up and down a good lead. It's going to calm down for a few moments, but fifth and sixth, should I say, best of the rest as it stands, fighting for what is a consolation prize. At the moment, O'Grady getting ahead just about. We're going to ignore that timing tower blip for a moment. Timbom's definitely not in the lead. He'll drop back down into the correct position very shortly. As we see O'Grady holding off this rest of the field.
Dondalou trying to go around the outside of Stevie Bain. Has again got to the outside, but it's into the chicane here. Has to back into single file and try another time. As they head round halfway into the race now, you can see the leaders still line astern, as is this pack fighting for P5. Paul O'Grady, personal best lap as they got themselves into P5, will be trying to break away a little bit. We look down the straight, no moves in the top four. Gus Peters looking out whether to defend or attack. He's kind of doing both, as Dondalou also looking out. Through the chicane they go.
Oh, this is brilliant. This is fantastic. This is one make racing at its best. You see a couple of packs of cars just breaking away at each other, giving us some separate battles on circuit. But this is insane. The lead's going at it again. It's Harkonnen looking, trying to get run through, and Alfie's either cooperating with Matt Holman, trying to get, yes, this is bump drafted, trying to catch up with the front. He wants the lead. He's just playing the long game here. Well, I say the long game. It's a quarter-hour race, as much of the long game as he can, to try and force an issue between Holman and the rest of the field. Maybe getting all four of them fighting so he can pick up the scraps.
This time it's roles reversed into turn 11. Johan on the outside, Harkonnen on the inside. It's The inside has been the favoured position into turn 11 here, so can Harkonnen take the lead with it? Johan goes around the outside and still got alongside, has got the nose in front into the chicane, and it's not going to be moved on for Harkonnen, but will be for Bevan, who might get up to P2 here. Johan into the gravel, backs Harkonnen up, and Bevan is through to the lead.
They're 3 wide on exit, they figure it out, and it is Alfie trying to make a move now into the lead. Now has the inside line on Harkonnen. That is exactly what Alfie wanted. That is absolutely perfect for him. Up to P2. Holman tries to follow him through. Actually, I think Holman does follow him through the third.
Johan, with that mistake through the chicane, drops back to P4. Paul O'Grady still leads the train in the background. You can see as Gus Peters looks to the outside, thinking about a move into turn 5 here. And Stevie Bean and Ash Hill fighting side by side. Stevie trying to go round to the outside as they're making up a couple of places this race so far. Gus Peters has also got to the inside of Paul O'Grady. Is it going to be 3 wide as Dondolo looks to get involved in this fight as well? Ash Hill back into slipstream, but we're going to look further up as Alfie Bevan has got themselves side by side, and they'll be that favoured inside position through turns 11 and 12. Is Alfie Bevan taking the lead? It looks like Harkonnen not even hanging it around the outside here. They're going to slot back into line. Further back, Johan trying to make the inside work on Matt Holman to get themselves back onto the podium place, and it's move done there as well.
Oh, my Kawasaki wants these places back. You can kind of tell from where he's driving alongside, getting along, move alongside, getting bumped to door, and that's the leaders getting into each other, going through the final turn. Oh, it's a kick off again as they go down to the main straight.
Harkonnen, I think, made a mistake there, ran out wide. Johan's found a way through, but Holman's got backed up a little bit and hasn't been able to get through. The pack behind is closing in. They gain 9/10 that lap. If these keep fighting, as Matt Holman looking to move to the inside of the first chicane, wasn't really alongside there, but has pressured Harkonnen into another mistake. They've ran wide. With per momentum, does Holman go to the inside? It looks like it. They send it in to the banked corner, but the inside hasn't been the favourite position. Bit of door rubbing through here, and it looks like Holman has gone front for now, but again the momentum favours the outside. A little further back, Stevie Bain has gone in front of Ash Hill, has been trying to get in front of Paul O'Grady as well, but they're going to be side by side through this section as well. Down the back end of the circuit here, Holman will be on the inside for turn 11. If he can keep the nose there alongside, he will just about sends it in. Does Harkonnen try and hold it on the outside? Harkonnen squeezing, and Harkonnen has no choice and thinks about trying to get back to the inside. Paul O'Grady onto the grass in the background, slides into the gravel, and is going to lose tremendous positions with the car deep in there. Falls behind Tim Bob. There's Adam Ely. Does drop out of the top 10 with that mistake, as they were running so well after that qualifying in the top 3. Just under 3 minutes left in the race. 2 laps to go as the leaders cross the line. Ash Hill has dropped back from the group in front under pressure from Friese and Dondolo, our 2 championship leaders, as they head towards T1. Ash Hill going to slot back behind Friese, but in between the two of them, Dondolo not able to make their way through. Bad exit, bad run through the chicane for Friese. Ash Hill is going to try and come back. It'll be the outside for the long banked right-hander of turn 5, usually the favoured position here, and Dondolo here is going to try and send it on their championship rival. Friese will have the momentum, but isn't alongside, tucks into the slipstream, but Friese will also have the slipstream from Ash Hill. See them closing, but go look a little further up as Harkonnen has got themselves back alongside Holman, and they'll be on the inside for the right-handers coming up.
It's going to be the 2x2 battle now. It's leaders completely checked out. It's Alfie and Kawasaki for the lead. Best of the rest fight at the minute, Holman and Harkonnen. It looks like Harkonnen is going to fall a crop at Holman and side by side to go through turn 11. And Harkonnen's going to get that move back on the inside. They're trading positions faster, going up and down that time. It's a bit of a hip and shoulders there through their Holman saying, come on now, I want this corner, I'm here. You can't just ignore me.
Holman, it seemed like they were going to drop back around the outside of 12, but they just got the nose back in there to 13 and fired it up the inside, squeezed Harkonnen, but just left enough room. Harkonnen drops back down. Scubby coming under pressure from Gus Peters, who's broken away from the train behind. Dondolo getting in front of Tim Bob now for P9, but dropped back from that battle that Frieza is in. Frieza in front of Ashhill, trying to chase down Stevie Bain now. And as we're on the final lap here, things just spreading out. Will we see any last lap moves? Harkonnen seems to be the closest person with the slipstream, is closing in, and look at how much they're closing in on Matt Holman. Let's look over the rear wing. Look at them gaining. Holman is going to defend the inside here. Does Harkonnen send it round the outside?
So try to give each other space. But Holman holding him off for now. Only a few more corners to go. One last big braking zone for potentially Harkonnen. Send up the inside. He thinks about it in the background. Gus Peters getting very well. There's contact.
Gus Peters wide. Luckily keeps it out of the gravel, but on the grass will lose a couple of places. But Alfie Bevan, who will come across the line to take the second race victory just in front of Johan Karlsack. Matt Holman will take P3 ahead of Harkonnen. Steve Bain rounds out top 5. Frieza, who had a good second race here, up to P6. Tim Bob will be the last car in the top 10, but look how close it is for this field down this straight. And in the background, still very close. Kanoji trying to get one last place on Ben Mount, will just miss out in the end. As Toscano has had a few issues this race, had some struggles, and is struggling about half a lap back.
Oh, there'll be a full reverse grid for race 2. Look at the finishing order as it stands. It's going to be flip it on its head completely. When Toscano sees the checker flag, he eventually will do. It'll be him on pole. It'll be Hearn, Overstreet, Kanoji, your front 2 rows for the final quarter of an hour race. And boy, oh boy, that's going to cause some absolute mayhem. Alfie will start on last. Karlsack will be 17th. Holman 16th and Harkonnen 15th. The top 4 starting at the back 2 rows of the grid. Toscano comes to the line, and good on him for finishing the race. We applaud those who have had torrid races. Just finish it. You never know what's going to happen. But he does now secure a pole. Does Toscano secure a pole position start for the final quarter of an hour race this evening?
Yeah, it does indeed.
And that's gonna be a very happy Alfie as well. I can guarantee you that. He's gonna be chuffed with that result.
Yeah, very happy coming from over down at P5 on the grid. Let's just get that progress up 4 places. Steve Bain and Frieza up 5 places each, having good races. Dondolo down 3 places. Difficult race for them, as Apollo Grady really the big loser there. That mistake into the gravel at turn 11 or turn 12, sorry. It was going so well up until then, but dropping down and finishing outside the top 10. I mean, good news is they'll be a little further up the grid for this reverse grid race, but I'm sure they would have rather have been in that fight for a top 5 in that first race.
They'll start 8th. Again, if my math is correct.
Yes, it is.
Cool. Nice to know I'm not going completely mad, as we do wait for the cars to return to the grid in the reverse grid formation. Based on those finishing results, we do just hang fire a brief moment, and very hopefully we'll see these cars out onto the starters grid ready for the final quarter of an hour race this evening. It's been fantastic fighting from all. Great fighting and great battles we've had up and down the grid. One last go at it, and we'll see who can come out on top.
Yeah, one final time. We haven't seen too much chaos so far this evening. It has been some genuinely good racing, which has been great to see, even with the first chicane. You know, There's been some moments where maybe chaos has just been a little too prevalent in the opening first half of this season, but starting the second half, it's been a fantastic way to start. Hopefully, I'm not jinxing it here, and we continue on with this trend into the third race, though being reverse grid, this is kind of when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, we shall see. It's going to be an interesting one to watch and play out. It will be. I think Alfie. I think what we shout at these. We don't shout at these drivers. We heavily enforce, especially these reverse grid races. There are going to be slower drivers up ahead of one another. It is there to try and mix up the field a little bit, but you just got to be careful. The faster guys will inevitably be able to find some pace and make their way through. But around this circuit, if you're in a slipstream, if you're following another car, it's mighty easy to hold position.
It kind of is. You've got that slipstream, which can really help bring someone alongside you. But then, if you position your car correctly, which is the case for any race, really, it can be very difficult to overtake. But one of the big things is you've got to get that first chicane right. I would say it's probably the most difficult part of the track. Bouncing your car over the curbs correctly, not getting into the gravel too much, carrying the momentum on the exit as well as you sort of thread the needle over those curbs. It's a difficult thing to do, and that's where we've seen most of the battles come from, as people have made mistakes through there. We'll watch the final race start on board with Alfie Bevan. The lights already coming on now. And we're away here for the third race. Again, another brilliant start from Johan. Do they move to centre? Do they get alongside Harkonnen as they've already jumped in front of Holman? As you can see, Alfie Bevan, just a wall of cars in front of them. Might be a bit of chaos as everyone picks their braking point for the first chicane. They're nearly 4 wide in front. Alfie Bevan looking to the outside. The space isn't going to be there as Matt Holman's onto the grass on the exit. We have had one casualty. Christian Overstreet is off. Let's jump back on board with Alfie Bevan to look at this sea of cars as they come into turn 5.
Indeed, they do. There's contact between. Oh god, that was oh goodness, that was Holman, wasn't it? Trying to get past Karolzak there for a position, hip and shoulder. And surprisingly, the top 4 last race not really making inroads as the way we would thought they would have done.
Well, the race is young. We're only a minute in, and we're still in this first lap. They're still trying to go 3, nearly 4 wide down this back section of the straight. The car's buzzing off of the limiter as they come into turn 11. Alfie Bevan right on the back of Johan as we see a couple of cars. That's Paul O'Grady sideways across the track, gets collected, and more crashing in front. Gus Peters and Adam Ely coming together. Fraser has found themselves in strife as well, dropping down the field. That certainly helped out these sort of leaders from the opening 2 races. Make up a few positions. Holman up to P7, Bevan P8, Johan P9, Harkonnen into the top 10, as well as Paul O'Grady has unfortunately had to DNF from the race.
Well, looked like a mighty hit. Sammy Dudar coming into Twitch chat at a chaotic time. That has been the most chaos we've seen all evening, however. That was a big incident. Maybe car going wide and unfortunately getting caught out.
Oh, crashing, Holman! Collected by Bevan. Both of them sideways across the track. 2 more casualties.
Yeah, cursed it, didn't I? I had to say something about not having a lot of chaos tonight, and suddenly we're absolutely spoiled.
Well, we look back to the front as hopefully things start to settle down. The field spreading out a little bit. Jacob Hine in slipstream of Kanoji, who has the lead of this race, is looking to be the outside of turn 11 that they're coming up to. Through turn 10 now into turn 11. A little bit of door-to-door contact on the entry here as Matt Holman has unfortunately had to return to the pits as well. Jacob thinking by trying to get to the inside, but Kanoji just covering it off enough, but has ran wide, opened the door to Jacob. Can't Jacob get in front before the final chicane. Kunoji's going to send it back in there, but it's run it in way too deep. It's going onto the gravel. That loses him all their momentum. Jacob Hine into the lead. Might be able to take the win of this race if they can pull away. Ben Myatt with a good run here from Kunoji's mistake is going to try and get themselves into second place. Bit of slipstream. Pulls to the inside as Matt Holman has come out of the pits at the worst time possible as the train comes up on him. Try and starve the way into this first chicane. To the inside goes Ben Myatt, side by side, and into the wall for both Kunoji and Ben Myatt as they try and get through the chicane side by side.
Oh, that's not gonna go down well. That looked to be more than racing is to potentially just contact between the cars, sending one into the other. Zami Duda saying, should have come in, wouldn't have happened otherwise. No, I think absolutely fine. Commentators will take the blame for mentioning there hasn't been any chaos in this race and suddenly it all unfolds and unravels. And not your fault at all. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you for dropping by. As we see Johan Karolzak recovering with Otto Harkonnen in tow, actually, going back up the field. We said that it was the early days of the race. It is very much now getting the job done and getting past the slower cars as Adam gets contact. Oh, they save it. Floors the throttle. It's able to pull the car back around.
Using the front wheel drive there to good effect. Though I think Adam Ide maybe just squeezing down too much, not leaving quite enough space for Johan. But has managed to stay in front in P4. Meanwhile, though, has completely dropped off the back of the leading trio. I've final corner now in slipstream once again for Johan. Will he make a move into the first chicane? We haven't seen too many moves into the first chicane. It's been a little bit too risky, but does Johan want to make a move on here? They have the momentum. They're in front in the braking zone. And Adam Ide into the back of Johan forces him to cut the chicane. And it's getting a little messy for Adam as he's trying to hold on to P4 here.
Yes, indeed. That is going to be interesting. Maybe a bit of a steward's review potentially after the race. Look, it looked like Adam was just trying to rejoin the racing line, didn't allow enough space, and then just inadvertently clipped him ever so slightly.
Adam has choked a little bit this series. He's been involved in a couple of incidents, or caused a couple of incidents, I should say, so far this series. Has joked about maybe not showing up for a round for the amount of incidents they've caused. After tonight, that might be true. Tim Bob, our race winner from a couple of weeks ago at Sego, up to P2, getting themselves in front of Ash Hill. I wonder if Tim Bob can chase down Jacob Hine and go for a second race win. That would be absolutely fabulous to see.
It would be, wouldn't it? It would be absolutely wonderful if that could be the case.
Fast personal best lap of the race, gained 8/10 on Jacob Hine. All aboard the Tim Bob hype train. I'm all for this. I'd love to see him to win the race. I mean, we're not meant to be biased, but can Tim Bob go 2 for 2? Tell you, Ash Hill is not going to make it easy though. Still following. We'll have the slipstream down the back end of the circuit. And look in, I was going to say look in the background, there's Matt Holman. It is Matt Holman, but he is a lap down. Further back, Johan and Harkonnen side by side once again, carrying on their battle from last race.
Indeed they are. They'll get back to it and try and regain some positions, but now Harkonnen leading that way ahead of Karolzak. Karolzak stays in the slipstream. They're both quick, they know they're quick. The leaders aren't that far ahead of them, but with the chaotic sprint races that they are, not much time to make up the positions.
Not much time at all, though. You can't get too impatient. That's when you get involved, or even cause an incident yourself, drops you back, and maybe even a post-race penalty puts you even further back. You don't want to pick up too many penalty points. You can get qualifying and race bans from causing too many. So, good incentive to keep it clean, as Harkonnen is holding on to P5 here. Maybe Harkonnen not wanting to fight too hard as we pass the halfway point of the race, thinking about catching the cars in front. that is first with Adam Ide, who in that last lap, as you can see on lap times, pulled 3/10 on these two as they were fighting. So that's one reason why they don't want to fight. Tim Bob at the front gained another 3.5 on Jacob Hine, but Harkonnen bad line through the first chicane onto the grass on the exit, and that is surely going to allow Johan through for P5.
Might do. We'll see for a moment. He's not giving it up. Is Harkonnen on the inside now. Carol's at that black, blue, red and white car on the outside line. Harkonnen in that blue and purple car. Now ending up side by side down the straight that isn't really a straight. For now, we'll see if he can do anything. Tucks back into the slipstream.
Pulls out to what will be the inside, the preferred line so far, what we've seen tonight. They'll be neck and neck as they head through turn 10 now into turn 11. How much is Johan going to fight this one on the outside? He's going to send it in. He's going to try and hold it there on the outside. But look in the background. Dondlo closing up on this battle. Might want to get involved themselves. Johan still trying to fight it the long way round. Is not going to be able to hold their nose alongside. And they'll be single file through this final chicane. Like that bumper to bumper now. Dondlo well and truly in this fight. I wonder if our sort of title contenders here are going to end up fighting themselves more than fighting, running up the cars in front. Alfie Bevan, fastest lap for the race as they try and close up here. Per exit from the final corner for Harkonnen though. That's allowed Johan to get their nose in front. It's side by side into this first chicane. We've seen it not end well before. Harkonnen slots back into line though. Tries to get the better exit, which they do ever so slightly. Dondlo, per run through the chicane, drops back. And in the background, Kanoji now being put under pressure from Alfie Bevan. To the inside is Harkonnen trying to pick the move up. But as we've seen so far tonight, Johan carries it round the outside, might lose the position initially, but has the momentum and will hold on to it on the exit.
For now, he does. The slipstream is there for Harkonnen. He wants to get back past. The feeling all the best they're going to get if they keep on fighting each other. It's going to be in 6th and 5th position. With Adam's only about 1.3 seconds ahead of this battle, so he might incorporate that 4th position fight, and Adam may get caught up again. I know he was fighting hard with Karolzak. Which caused a bit of a controversial maybe nudge into the first chicane. It sees him get away a little bit. They are now starting to catch once more. The leaders are getting close together as well. Tim Bob slowly dragging in Jacob Hine to the lead. 0.9 of a second it was a brief moment ago. But Tim looking to try and add to another race win. We saw him win this reverse grid race a couple of weeks ago. Actually, was it last week actually, wasn't it? No,
a couple of weeks ago. Yes. Jacob Hine though setting a personal best this lap to try and just hold the gap. Still lost a 10th to Tim Bob, but that gap is closing. Defending onto the grass for Harkonnen into the braking zone. That's something you really don't want to do. Puts him on a per line, and that's going to allow Dondlo to close up. Though Dondlo not quite close enough, not quite good enough of a run to get themselves alongside. As Alfie Bevan waiting in the wings. We've seen what they could do in that previous race, coming through from P5 on the grid to win. And look at that, Bevan has the run here, is trying to look for the slipstream. Which way are they going to go? Once again, just like what we saw last race, bump drafting with Dondlo. Bevan wants to work with Dondlo here to maybe get a few more positions. Though this lap, you can tell these cars are closing in on Adam Ely now. Will things be a little bit cleaner than last time? Or will we see a few more bumps and knocks?
Shall see. Everything for now looking like it's going the way of Jacob Hine. Tim Bob to fight for the lead, but Alfie making up some positions. A constellation finish for him after what has been quite a hectic final race this evening. Back up to 7th. It's now catching up to Harkonnen and Karolzak. They're continuing to fight away, and that is Adam Ely also involved now as well.
Adam Ely per run through that final chicane is let Johan through. Harkonnen getting through as well. Are they going 3 wide down towards T1? Johan squeezing Adam to the inside. They are 3 wide. Adam sensibly backs out. Harkonnen has to back out on the outside. Gets a little bump as Adam has nowhere to go through the middle of the chicane. That's going to allow Johan to start running away from this battle a little bit. To the outside goes Adamide. Is he going to be able to get this place back on Harkonnen? That would be a bit of an upset, but no, runs in a little too deep. And Alfie Bevan now trying to get to the inside. This is the penultimate lap of the race. Time's running out. Tim Bob is also on the back of Jacob Hine, closing in with that slipstream, but we'll stick with this battle for now. Again, Alfie Bevan using the bump draft to try and close in here. We did see him then make a move on Dondaloo into turn 12 last time round. Is he going to do the same here on Adam Ely? Or is he going to have to wait another time around, which you can't really afford with the final lap coming up so soon. Through turn 11, it looks like Adam Ely has had a decent run there. Yeah, Alfie not close enough. Will have to settle in P7 for now, as this train, of course, just separating ever so slightly. Through the final corner, though, for our two leaders, if the camera wants to pick them up. And actually, Alfie Bevan has got past Adam Ely, who I think's made another mistake into this chicane, and is dropping places. Very poor exit. Through goes Dondaloo and Gus Peters as well. Adam Ely down to P9 as Dondaloo and Gus are fighting towards the first chicane.
Oh boy. Things. Oh dear Lord, what in the world happened there?
I feel like there might have been a missed braking point there, and thought instead of boating into a couple of corners, let's just cut the corner and avoid the contact. Has gone for a slide and spun round actually onto the grass. Is gonna have to wait to rejoin safely. There, a few cars in on the inside, and that's gonna be a very disappointing result for the driver that leads both our overall and pro championship lead. Up to the front though, we're half a lap to go. Tim Bob has closed in on Jacob Hine for the lead. Can he fight his way through to the win? Last time when he did take the win, he was fighting off Johan, who had won both races that evening. This time he is having to fight his way past the car. Jacob Hine trying to hold on, holds the inside line through turn 12. 3 corners to go. If Jacob gets a good run through this chicane, he should be able to hold on to the win here. But can Tim Bob find something, find anything to try and take the win away? It doesn't look like it will be. It's Ash Hill closing in for P2, in fact. But Jacob Hine takes the final race victory here at Salzburgring. Tim Bob has settled for second. Ash Hill takes the final podium position, nearly getting P2 in the end. Johan will take P4 F Harkonnen, and Bevan fall down to 6, but a big Freeze has had a disappointing race so far. He's trying to fight with Kanoji on the run to the line. Will have to sell for P12, but it is one place better than Dondaloo, who finishes in 13th.
Oh, and breathe. Wow, what a final race. That brought everyone in that top 5 really close together right at the end. Jacob Hine holds out. Tim Bob, again, another fantastic result. I'm sure he'll be absolutely chuffed with that. As the only car not to see the finish was Andy Hearn, sadly DNFing for this final race of the evening.
Yeah, a very hectic race. Expectedly, we've seen a bit more chaos in the first 2 races, but we still seen some good racing in amongst that. Again, another Jacob Hine taking win. Tim Bob P2, another brilliant result. I'll certainly do them well in both the overall and amateur championships. Maybe giving themselves a little bit more ballast for next week.
Potentially, depending when they finish and when they end up in the championship, I dare say myself. We'll keep an eye on that, but that was some fantastic racing tonight. And not to say that AC is the only league we run this week. We do also run other leagues as well. But first, the finishing order for that race. Jacob Hine taking the win from Tim Bob. Ashel 3rd, Karasak 4th, Harkonnen 5th, Bevan 6th, Peter 7th, Adam Ely 8th, Stevie Bay 9th, Ben Myatt 10th, Kanoji 11th, Fraser 12th, Dondaloo 13th, Toscano 14th, Overstreet 15th, Holman 16th, O'Grady 17th, and sadly, Hearn ending up as a dumph, and DNF did not finish the race, unfortunately, due to technical issues, damage potentially. But unfortunately, not seeing the checkered flag.
Yeah, what chaotic racing. Some great racing through the first two races. A little bit more chaos is expected in that third and final reverse grid race. But it delivered on action as always. So we now look forward to next week, where we will be going back down under to Australia for a second visit down there to Phillip Island, predominantly bike track, I believe, but hopefully it can give us some interesting racing for as we head to round 6 of the championship.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be an interesting round. Phillip Island, always a track that entertains, as you said quite rightly. Going back down under for the race that is in the land of the upside down. Let's say we'll bring you all the action for round 6 at the same time, same place next week. Not only do we have our wonderful stream tonight, we also have a week full of action as tomorrow sees the return of LMU back to our Twitch screens. We are at Fuji for the 5th round of the championship there live on Twitch. It'll be myself again bringing you all the action alongside Dave Wood, and we'll be bringing that live on Twitch. Thursday is the iRacing British oNiD 4 series. We go to, I should know this off by heart by this point. I believe, I want to say it's Snetterton. You might have already
No,
had
we
Snetterton,
went to
actually.
Snarton a little bit earlier.
We
We are
did,
going to
round 5,
Alton
Alton.
Park Island
Alton Park
Circuit.
Island. Oh,
And I
wonderful.
hear there might be some mixed weather. And not only that, we're not entirely sure at the
Oh,
moment, but the new tyre model that's coming might be arriving for this round, which would just spice things up even further. Another race with a reverse grid, 2 races, second being a top 15 reverse grid. It's been a lot of chaos in that season so far as well. Some great racing as well, much like what we saw tonight. So hopefully we'll see some more of that at Alton. And then we move on, take a little break before on Sunday return for the 100 series, which will be at Qatar this weekend.
yeah.
Of course, the Mon Ultimate, another game getting a big update today. New GT3 tyre model that those GT3s will have to deal with. No new tyre model for the hypercars, but a new track for everyone that has just released today. Hopefully I'm hoping that puts everyone on a more level playing field, not having too much practice. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see till Sunday on that. And then on Monday, we have the LMU GT3 Festival, which will be at the wonderful Bahrain Outer. It's provided some brilliant races from what I've done personally so far in the Mon Ultimate, and I imagine it will deliver once again. 65 minutes of racing on Monday before we return for Phillip Island next week on Tuesday. Same time, same place.
Indeed, absolutely. Folks, it's been a pleasure to bring all the racing action tonight from the only Simhound JCW Mini World Tour at Salzburgring. I hope I said that right. We will be sure to bring you all the action next week. Scotty, thank you so much for your time as well. I trust you'll be back with us next week as well for round 6.
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
Wouldn't miss it for the world. That's what I'd love to hear. Folks, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for your viewership. And we will see you all same place, same time next week for round 6 of the JCW Mini World Tour. Good night.